What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to another breakdown here on the Vegas Odds YouTube channel. I'm your host, the fight analyst Garrett Kerman, and with me, as always, is my man Joe Danger himself, Jesse Hobson. What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good. I got my lucky bracelet on, and then I also got some McDonald's. These boxes are sick, so feeling good about these fights, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Unfortunately, Contender is long gone, and I'm going to miss it very, very much so because we absolutely smashed the entire season. I think we had 8 or 9 winning weeks out of 10. Unfortunately, we got to wait a whole year to get that back, but we are here to break down some regional MMA, some fights that we can actually bet on. And this week we got Cage Fury Fighting Championship 113 Saturday night. I believe starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on UFC Fight Pass. We have some money that we could be made. There's lines here. I think they are on betonline.ag is where these can be bet on.
They are on Bovada too, so I know a lot of people use Bovada. They are on Bovada.
Great. Let's get to it. All right. So the first fight up is between Thomas Mageski and Robert Varicio. Right now, the line is set at Varicio minus 300 to come back on Mageski plus 240. Who do you got?
Yeah, so this is one of the plays that I'm excited about. I actually had to talk Garrett into talking about this fight just because I have a parlay here that I'm going to talk about later. Mageski gets knocked out and Varicio knocks people out. I think he finds another KO here, but the only reason you'd question it is that Mageski is the bigger fighter. Because of this, I think we're getting a decent line. You know, earlier today it was minus 205. Now it's minus 300. So people are seeing what I'm seeing for Robert Varicio. I take him by KO too, just to sweeten the deal. Simple as that. So keep your eyes on the books. Maybe some props open up, but I got Robert Varicio minus 205 or by KO.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fight I was looking at to begin with, but after looking at it a little bit more, I definitely kind of see your way. He's training at Tiger Schulman's, Shane Burgos, Julio Arce, Mike Trizano, the whole crew over there. So he's getting in quality work. He's 2-0 as a pro, going against 3-2 Thomas Mageski. Both guys are finishers. Like you said, Variccio's got some really good power, some good stand-up striking abilities. Training with guys at Tiger Schulman's is going to do that for you. Mageski, he's got finishes on the mat or on the feet as well, but he's also got 2 losses. He's been finished as well before. I'm going to side with you here. Take Varicio. Minus 300 is not really ideal. If you do have props, probably inside the distance is definitely your best bet. Cut out a ton of the juice. Probably will get a good line of Varicio by knockout. So yeah, I got Varicio by knockout. I don't know what the line is, but right now minus 300 on the money line. Next fight up, we have a fight between Joseph Schick and Dwayne Holman. Right now, the line is set at minus 800 for Schick and the comeback on Holman plus 500. Who do you got?
So Holman hasn't fought in 6, almost 7 years. And while I do applaud the man for getting back in there, this is going to be a tough one. Schick is 4-2, and most of its wins are coming by decision. I'm afraid Holman is probably going to get the knockout, though. Is it a lock? Probably. But I wouldn't lay minus 800 on Schick, as he's pretty green, and he's also 36. Just watch and maybe look for some props as they become available. Yeah, it's hard to kind of side with anyone, but I will take Schick by KO.
Like you stated, this Holman's 3-7. He hasn't fought in 6 years. He's 36 years old. The last time he weighed in was 148 pounds. Now he's coming down 135 at 36 years old. That's so many red flags. This is honestly a complete setup fight for Schick to look somewhat decent. I don't even know why, considering Schick is 36 years old himself, about to be 37 in next month. in 3 weeks. So I don't know why they have a setup fight for a guy that's 36. That's probably not going to go anywhere in the sport, but here we are. Not really impressed with either of the two. I don't think Schick should ever be minus 800 against anybody. Unfortunately, Holman doesn't have a chance in this fight. So the line is, I guess you can say, correct. But either way, this is a fight that you definitely do not want to bet on. It might even be a stinker too. I wasn't really impressed by looking at either one of these two fighters. But ultimately, Schick should get the job done. he's probably going to be underwhelming and probably going to be an underwhelming decision, even though this guy hasn't fought in forever.
Yeah, I would hope he gets the KO, but, like you said, he probably will get the decision, especially the little footage that I did watch. I mean, it was infuriating. Take a break during this one. I wouldn't recommend laying any money on a minus 800.
I agree with that. And we're starting to ramp things up. The first two fights, you got to bear with us. I mean, the first fight's not bad. I think it's one of the better of the fights of the main card. But this fight, we'll just got to bear with us. Just power through it.
Yeah.
We'll just get over the hump, and then we start getting into the juicy fights on this fight card.
Yeah, I think a little bit of that is they're just trying to like pace it a little bit, like a wave. The first one's good, next one's a little low. So I don't know. I think it's a very smart decision, because if it is a KO, it'll be fun. But I just think that they're setting themselves up for failure here.
Kind of have to agree with you there.
We'll see though. Prove me wrong.
Next up is a flyweight bout between Santo Kiritolo and Shamel Finley. I think this is going to be a pretty good fight. I'm actually looking forward to it. Right now, the line set at minus 175 for Kiritolo. The comeback on Finley plus 145.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I'm excited for. This one, the first one we talked about, and then I think the next one. Seems like everyone and their mother is on Finley, and I get it, just because plus money, he's very capable of winning. But I think Kiritolo is that guy. Sure, he's been in a slump as of late, 2 losses, but I think he finds the chin in this one. Finley knocking out dudes with 0-0 records multiple times back to back to back to back. And while Kiritolo is losing decisions to guys in the UFC, Finley has a hell of a reach, but if Kiritolo gets inside, like I imagine he does, he'll disable those tools pretty quickly. I hope that Kiritolo learns from his Tuesday Night Contender Series appearance, corrected his mistakes, and gets the win here. I like Santo Kiritolo by KO.
I kind of want him to fight smart here, because yes, he can stay in the bang, but his best path to victory is just using his grappling, his wrestling. I mean, he trains out of Nick Catone MMA, which is in South Jersey. Frankie Edgar trains there. A bunch of those other guys, Ricardo Almeida fighters. But I think he's the well put together package. But the thing is, he's just super short. He's 5'3". He's giving up 8 inches of reach, which is what I really don't like. But did you see the Finley fight, his last fight on Titan FC?
I watched a few of them. Go ahead though.
Did you see how he got a majority draw in his last fight? The most BS thing I have ever seen. Mind you, it's 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left of the fight. It definitely wasn't intentional. Maybe it was a slight cage grab. The ref pulls him apart, deducts a point with 5 seconds left of the fight.
Are you serious? Okay, yeah, I didn't see that.
Bro, I'm like, where is this? Because I see that his last fight was, it was a split, a majority draw. So I'm like, okay, so that's weird. I'm watching it, and I'm going to the end. I'm like, why is it gonna be a draw? I mean, I thought Finley clearly won rounds 2 and 3, in which he sure as hell did. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's how the draw happened. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And of course, he went against a goat shed fighter in Titan FC. It's almost like impossible to beat these guys on the judges' scorecards in Titan FC. It's literally impossible. They will always have the upper hand in close fights. Like, you literally have to be dragging their ass, beating them to a bloody pulp to a decision for you to win that decision. It's just not possible. They're super hometown bias here. They run shit over at Titan FC, and he was winning the fight. The first round's competitive. He lost the first round, but 2 and 3, he was putting it on him. He was putting a hurting on him, and then eventually the cage grab, and then that happened. I'm like, that was just bonkers. That was just ridiculous. I've never seen that happen. So keep that in mind when betting on these fights. Unfortunately, things like that will happen. As far as this matchup goes, I like Kiritolo. I think the big experience edge will help him here. He's fought the much better competition. Granted, he's lost, but he's lost to better competition than Finley as well. Finley's good on the feet. He's got some good combinations, mixes things up very, very well, switches stances. But I just think if Kiritolo mixes things up, he's going to be able to get land the takedowns, grind him out on the mat and beat him up that way, and just take some of the power away, take away some of his movement, make him work, because he tends to slow down if you make him work and have him defend takedowns. But ultimately, Kiritolo should probably get back on track and get another win under his belt.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think this is going to be a good fight. Nothing more to it, really.
All right, let's keep it moving. Our next fight up is in the lightweight division between Josiah, Harold, and Tracy Reeder. Another fight that I'm actually really looking forward to. Right now, the line set at -200 for Harold, and the comeback on Reeder +160. Who do you got?
For me, this is probably actually going to be the fight of the night as far as like what I think has potential to be entertaining. Both solid prospects here. Harold being a welterweight is going to be the story, though. If he can get Reeder down, and I assume he does, Harold should be able to ground and pound. If he doesn't find the finish, though, I'd be willing to bet that he bullies Reeder for 15 minutes. I don't think Reeder is bad per se. I just think that the size difference is going to be a little too much for him. I like Josiah Harold by KO.
I think Reeder is actually the bigger fighter of the two because he's about 4 inches taller, probably has, I want to say, about 3 inches in reach, 2 to 3 inches in reach. But in terms of skill set, they're both good grapplers. They're both good wrestlers. They're both very good on the mat. So we're going to see a ton of scrambles, a ton of grappling exchanges, and I'm really looking forward to that. You have Reeder, who trains with Bryce Mitchell and them over in Arkansas. Harold doesn't train out of a big gym, but he's got a D1 wrestling background. He's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. So he's very, very well versed on the mat. I feel Harold is the better grappler of the two. That D1 wrestling will be on point for this fight, and you'll see it. His double legs are extremely good. He's extremely strong. And then when he gets on top, he's pretty much a wet blanket. He flows very, very well. Takes it back almost as soon as you give it up. He'll take that back. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be too much for Reeder. Harold's, I believe he's 11-0 between amateur and professional. I think he's a legit prospect, and he's gonna show off here. I really do like this fight, and I do think Harold could be a guy that we might see on the Contender Series next year. If he does well, if he goes out there and puts Reeder away, which I'm expecting him to do, he's probably in line for a possible Contender Series spot.
Yeah, perhaps maybe the tape that I did watch, Harold looked much larger than a lot of his opponents.
I mean, he's stocky. Yeah, he's super stocky. I mean, and Reeder's pretty well built too, and he's 5'11". I don't know if he's really 5'11". I could be misleading because it's Tapology, but I would say he's at least anywhere from them 5'9" to 5'11" range, and he's pretty well built too. But like you were saying, Harold's he's got size on him, and he wrestled at 170 pounds. So yeah. I do think he's going to be the stronger grappler of the two as well.
Well, at least I'm not too far off.
All right, let's keep it moving. Our next fight up is the co-main event in the middleweight division between Earl Small and David Gladfelter. Right now, the line is set at -150 for Small, +120 for Gladfelter. Who do you got?
This one is both guys are kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
But based on the records, I'd say that Gladfelter has a few more tools. Small likes to play on the ground, but he's still pretty green. Don't get me wrong. Gladfelter is pretty green too, but based on the tape, he looks ever so slightly more seasoned than Small. I'd assume this gets to the ground, Small makes a mistake, and Gladfelter capitalizes. I like Gladfelter by sub. I like Gladfelter plus money. Even if he loses, somebody's getting subbed. This one's not going the distance. Someone's going to make a mistake, and someone's going to find a submission win. I just think it's going to be Gladfelter.
I could agree with that as well. Gladfelter is also pretty damn big. He's 6'3" at 185 pounds. His last fought at 194 pounds. He used to fight at light heavyweight as well, whereas Small used to fight at welterweight just a few fights ago. And of course, he beats Jay Ellis. Who hasn't beaten Jay Ellis? And he beat him by Twister, no less. I mean, my God.
Yep.
So we can expect these guys to get a lot of grappling in, a lot of scrambles, and in a fight that I'm expected to be relatively close, I'd rather take the shot on the dog, like you said. So yeah, I mean, I think these guys are pretty evenly matched. I don't think highly of really either one of these guys' skill set, but I think it's going to be an entertaining fight because both these guys are good on the mat, and I like to see some good grappling transitions. So we'll see what happens, but I'm taking the shot on the dog here at +130.
The only thing I'm afraid of is Gladfelter keeps his chin up, and he welcomes that any punch. He just welcomes it because he doesn't know how to defend himself in the stand-up. So it is very possible that he gets knocked out, but I just assume he's gonna win via submission.
Yeah, I agree with that, but And also, Small's not like a big power puncher, anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're both these guys are looking for submissions. So, granted, anybody can land a punch, anybody can get knocked out. It doesn't matter if you're a power puncher or not. But ultimately, I think these two are going to be on the mat, and I feel like it's a 50-50 whoever wins. And if you're at 50-50, I'd rather take the underdog. Let's keep it moving. Our main event is in the heavyweight division between Greg Velasco and Kevin Sears. Right now, the line set at minus 800 for Greg Velasco. The comeback on Sears plus 500. Who do you got?
While Sears' last fight was ruled a KO, his opponent just got exhausted and gave up. He pointed to his heart and just started shaking. It was weird. Sears was controlled most of the fight as well, so he wasn't really winning the fight either. But these boys were big and out of shape, so the outcome didn't really surprise me either. It was just a little odd to see Sears celebrate, though. Like, why are you going to celebrate because your opponent is going into cardiac arrest and you were basically losing to him? 2 losses prior to that back in 2019, one against Parker Porter. Velasco, he's a good prospect. He's younger, bigger, and ultimately he looks to be in better shape. The odds don't surprise me. Velasco should control him everywhere and eventually find a submission win. I like Greg Velasco via sub. I also like the parlay of Velasco and Varicio, which is the first fight on the main card. If you get Varicio at minus 200, that takes the odds down pretty substantially. You're almost getting even money. I know. I think that's a fun parlay just to kind of keep things interesting. But yeah, I think Velasco wins inside the distance, wins via sub, and keeps trucking.
Yeah, I think Velasco is the only one that's warranted the minus 800 price tag that he has on this fight card. He's got a good ground game, and he's definitely the bigger fighter of the two. He's the stronger fighter of the two. He's the more well put together fighter of the two. Sears has fought the better competition, yes, but Sears has lost a good vast majority of his fights and beaten some pretty bad opposition. I'm expecting Velasco to go in there, take him down, get the submission, probably inside 2 rounds. I think Velasco is a pretty decent prospect. He'll be 5-0 after this win. He'll be the CFFC heavyweight champion. So yeah, he's definitely gonna get the job done. I expect him to be the champ for a little bit until he gets, the call up to the UFC, or he possibly gets a contender series shot, because they're so very thin at heavyweight, especially heavyweights that can actually grapple and that aren't just power punchers. So this is somebody that they can kind of build off of, and he's still relatively young. He's not really into his prime yet. He's just 29 years old. Still got a couple more years to get into his prime. He's 5-0. Let him build him up a little bit. And I expect him to be a decent prospect. Like I said, he can strike too, but having that wrestling and having that grappling and the submission game just elevates his game even more and puts him at a point where some of these other fighters can't really compete, because a lot of these heavyweight fighters don't have much of a ground game. They're just going to go out there and try to throw some leather and hope something lands. And that's what Kevin Sears pretty much does. So I'm expecting Velasco, get in there, take it to the mat, get the submission win, get out, get some gold. That's that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, man, that last Sears fight's really weird. The guy is like, my heart, and like Sears is like, oh yeah, knocked him out. And it's like, no, you didn't, brother.
Oh yeah. But that's what we have for you this week's breakdown. Cage Fury Fighting Championship 113, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on UFC Fight Pass. Don't miss it. Go place some bets, make some money. We'll be back with you guys next week here on the Vegas Odds YouTube channel. Go like and subscribe for more betting content. Us and other great content providers putting money into your pocket. We will see you all next week.